जो पहली वेबसाइट आएगी आप उस पर क्लिक करोगे एंड देन यू विल फाइंड दिस पेज। यहाँ से आपको पैकेज मिलेगा टेस्ट योर नॉलेज। यहाँ पे आप अपनी नॉलेज टेस्ट कर सकते हैं। डिफरेंट बोर्ड्स हैं और उसमें डिफरेंट सब्जेक्ट्स हैं। आप किसी भी एक सब्जेक्ट पे क्लिक करके उस पर आगे जा सकते हैं। वर्कशीट्स अवेलेबल है, वहाँ से आप प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हैं। हमारे कोर्सेस हैं जो मैथ्स, इंग्लिश और साइंस के हैं। अलग अलग क्लासेस के पैकेजेस हैं, आप कुछ भी ले सकते हैं और फ्री स्टडी मटेरियल भी अवेलेबल है हमारे यहाँ पे। वर्कशीट्स है, टेक्स्ट बुक सॉल्यूशंस है, वीडियो लेसन्स भी हैं। सो अगर आप इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे न्यू हो तो आप जस्ट ट्यूटर्स की वेबसाइट पे जाइए justtutor.com एंड देन यहाँ पे जो डिफरेंट ऑप्शंस है आप उनमें से कुछ भी एक ले सकते हैं। ओके वेल, तो ये था हमारा justtutor.com पे। You might have the idea about this formula that dividend divided by divisor is equal to quotient plus remainder by divisor, right? So ये तो हम बहुत छोटी क्लासेस से पढ़ते हुए आ रहे हैं कि डिविडेंड बाय डिविज़र इज इक्वल टू कोशेंट प्लस रिमाइंडर बाय डिविज़र, राइट? तो बेसिकली इस सेशन में हम पढ़ने जा रहे हैं ये 3 सब टॉपिक्स: द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन जीरोज ऑफ अ पॉलिनोमियल एंड इट्स कोफिशिएंट, cubic polynomials, and the division algorithm for polynomials. All right, there are the warm-up questions here for you. You need to match the graphs with the algebraic expressions. So do you have any idea which graph would match the expression? It is very simple. Could you do it for me? Okay. तो इसको कैसे किया जाए? We can put different values of x in this expression 1 by x, and the values we will be getting, we will plot them in graph. Okay, so when you put 2 in the place of x, then the expression will become 1 by 2. If you put 3, then it will be 1 by 3, 1 by 4, 1 by 5, and so on. And similarly you can put the negative values also. So in this expression the graph we will be getting would have the positive and negative response both. But what if we put the values, give some values to the x in this expression, root x? Do we get any negative terms? So we don't have negative numbers inside the root, right? That's why we will not be having any negative graph for this expression. So the graph for the expression 1 by x would be this one, number 2, and the graph for the expression root x would be this one, which is number 1, right? Is it all clear? So this was the warm-up question for you. Now let's move ahead. Again there are the warm-up questions. You need to find out the zero of these polynomials. And how can we find the zeros of a polynomial? What are the zeros of a polynomial? Do you know? How can we find? So for that, let's learn what are polynomials, what are its types, and what are the zeros of polynomials. Okay. Again, here are the warm-up questions for you. Identify the variables and the constants in the following questions. तो इसमें आपको आइडेंटिफाई करना है कि कौन से वेरिएबल है एंड कौन से कांस्टेंट है. इट्स वेरी इजी. जो वेरिएबल है, वेरिएबल क्या होता है? हम किसी वेरिएबल वो होता है जिसको हम डिफरेंट डिफरेंट वैल्यूज़ दे सकें. कांस्टेंट मतलब वो एक वैल्यू फिक्स्ड है, राइट? तो यहाँ पे कांस्टेंट क्या है और वेरिएबल क्या है? क्या चीज़ है जो फिक्स है? 34 and 12 are the fixed. So these are the constants and x is the variable in question 1, right? In question 2, y plus 9 is equal to 7. So we can give different values to y. It is not fixed, so it is a variable, and 9 and 7 are the constants. Again, in the third one, x is the variable and 4 and minus 3 are the constants, right? Now the second part is you need to identify the equation and the expressions in these. So could you do it? Which are the equations and expressions in these one? तो इक्वेशन क्या होता है? बेसिकली अगर हम किसी भी एक एक्सप्रेशन को किसी और कांस्टेंट या किसी और एक्सप्रेशन के साथ इक्वेट कर दें, इक्वल साइन लगा के दोनों को दो साइड रख दें, तो वो हमारी इक्वेशन है. एंड एक्सप्रेशन इज सिंपली एन एक्सप्रेशन विच वी लर्नड अर्लियर. In this one, the second one, ax plus b is the expression because it has not been equated to any other value. But the first one and the third one are the equations because these has been equated with this equal sign with some other values, right? So 2x plus 5 is equal to 22 and 2 by s plus 5 is equal to 9. These are the equations, right? Let me write here for you. अगर इक्वेशन है x minus 1 is equal to 2. This is a equation, right? And if you want to write an expression, that would be x plus 3. So simply this is an expression. जहाँ पर इक्वल साइन आ जाए वो हमारी इक्वेशन है. ओके, क्लियर? Shall we move ahead? Now let's learn about polynomials. What are polynomials? So the definition is a polynomial is an expression of the form a naught plus a1x plus a2x square and so on till a and x to the power n, where a naught, a1, a2, a3 and so on an are the real numbers and n is the positive integer. Here is an example given. Px is equal to 6x cube plus 3x square plus 2x plus 7. So this is a polynomial. And another one, qx is equal to 6x cube plus 3x to the power minus 2 plus 2x to the power minus 1 plus 7. This is not a polynomial. क्यों? क्योंकि n should be a positive integer. जहाँ पर x to the power n है और वो n अगर positive integer है तभी वो polynomial है, otherwise वो polynomial नहीं है. ओके? Polynomial एक simple expression होता है जहाँ पर पावर्स जो होती है वो पॉजिटिव इंटीजर होती है. ओके, टर्म्स. कंसिडर द पॉलिनोमियल a naught plus a1x plus a2x square plus so on an x to the power n. In the polynomial, the expressions a naught, a1x, a2x square etc. are called the terms of polynomial. तो जो भी हमारे एक्सप्रेशन में जो भी टर्म्स होगी, जिस तरह से यहाँ पे a1x है, a2x स्क्वायर है, a3x क्यूब, a4x टू द पावर 4 और an(x to the power n), ये सारी हमारे पॉलिनोमियल्स की टर्म्स है. दीज आर द टर्म्स ऑफ आर पॉलिनोमियल. देयर इज एन एग्जाम्पल गिवन. आइडेंटिफाई द टर्म्स ऑफ पॉलिनोमियल px 8x³ प्लस 3x² प्लस 5x प्लस 9। तो यहाँ पर हमारी टर्म्स क्या क्या होंगी, चलो इसको हम लिख के देखते हैं। px इज इक्वल टू 8x³ प्लस 4x², लेट्स राइट, माइनस 2x प्लस 1। अगर ये हमारा पॉलिनोमियल है तो यहाँ पर हमारी टर्म्स क्या क्या होंगी? द टर्म्स ऑफ दिस पॉलिनोमियल वुड बी 8x³ 4x² minus 2x and 1. These are the terms of our polynomial. Okay. Clear है? Okay. So these are the terms of this polynomial. Now let's move to the next slide. Here is degree of a polynomial. So for a polynomial with one variable like x, the degree is the largest exponent of the variable. The degree of polynomial is the largest power of any x term in the polynomial. कोई भी expression हो, कोई भी polynomial हो जहाँ पर जो variable है, जो variable यानी कि जो x है, उसकी highest power जो होगी, the largest power of x² minus 7. अगर हम कोई भी पॉलिनोमियल ले लें जैसे कि 8x to the power 9 minus 7x to the power 6 plus 9x to the power 4 minus 11x plus 2. If this is our polynomial and we need to find the degree of this polynomial, what we are going to do in this case, to find the degree of this polynomial, we will see the highest power of x in this polynomial, and highest power of x in this polynomial is what is the highest power of x in this polynomial? It is 9. So the degree of this polynomial is 9. Clear? This is the degree of polynomial. Let's move to the next slide. Here are the types of polynomials. What different types of polynomials are there? So okay, different types of polynomials available are monomials, binomials, trinomials. Monomial is that where polynomial is having only one term, right? कोई भी expression जहाँ पे सिर्फ एक term available हो वो हमारा monomial है. Binomial is that where the sum of two monomials are there. कोई भी दो term का addition हो वो हमारा binomial है, जहाँ पर terms available are two. And similarly trinomial are those where terms are, total number of terms in the polynomial are 3. Right, and you can see the examples given here. The first one is 23x minus 354, okay, minus 3547, then x square, 2y square, minus 7xyz. These are the polynomials which are having only one term, right? So these are monomial. Similarly, the next example 3a plus 2, here two terms are available, so this is a binomial. And in the third one, if you see 4s³ plus s² plus 9, there are three terms available in this case. So we would say this polynomial as trinomial. Alright, so these are the types of polynomial. Next is roots or zero of a polynomial. This is the very important part of this chapter. What are the roots or zeros of a polynomial? So a root or zero of a polynomial is a solution to that polynomial equation. कोई भी polynomial है, अगर आपने उसके roots निकालने हैं, उसके zeros find करने हैं, तो वी विल इक्वेट दैट पॉलिनोमियल टू 0. अब उसको इक्वेट कर दिया 0 से, तो जिस वैल्यू पे वो पॉलिनोमियल की वैल्यू अगर 0 आ रही है, वेरिएबल की जिस वैल्यू पे पॉलिनोमियल की वैल्यू इक्वल्स टू 0 है, दिस इज द रूट ऑफ आवर पॉलिनोमियल इक्वेशन. ओके, जैसे कि अगर हमने देखा वी आर हैविंग अ पॉलिनोमियल पी एक्स इक्वल्स टू 2x minus 3. This is the polynomial. Okay, you need to find the 0 of this polynomial. So in this case, what would you do? We would equate this polynomial to 0, and while equating we will see 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. Next we will find the value of x where the polynomial is actually having the value 0. So we will 2x is equal to 3 minus 3 को दूसरी ओर ले गए, then 2x is equal to 3. So x is equal to 3/2. अगर हम इस पॉलिनोमियल में px is equal to 2x minus 3, इस पॉलिनोमियल में अगर x की वैल्यू 3/2 रखें तो हमें क्या आंसर मिलता है? 2 times 3/2 minus 3, and according to BODMAS you will first solve the multiplication of this. So 2 into 3/2 is equal to 3 minus 3 is equal to 0. So x की वैल्यू x की वैल्यू 3/2 पे पॉलिनोमियल px विच इज 2x minus 3 की वैल्यू 0 आ रही है. दैट मीन्स x is equal to 3/2 is the root of this polynomial equation. Okay, any doubt? Again here an example is given. The polynomial is 2x minus 4. You equated this polynomial to 0 and you got the value of x as 2. So if you put this value of x is equal to 2 back to this polynomial, you will get the polynomial is equal to 0. That's why x is equal to 2 is the root, or you can say is the 0 of the polynomial. Alright. Here is the graph of polynomial. If there is any polynomial function, you can find the graph of that. See, here is the polynomial y is equal to x square plus 2x minus 15, and if you want to find the 0 of this polynomial, you will get minus 3 and minus 5 and 3 are the values of x for which y is equal to 0. That means the polynomial equation is 0 at value of x when value of x is minus 5 and 3. Okay, the zeros of polynomial are the values of x for which the polynomial equals to 0. In other words, the 0 are the x values for which y equals to 0. The roots of polynomial are x intercepts. Now you can see that the equation is x square y is equal to x square plus 2x minus 5. This is the polynomial, and when you equated this to 0, you find the value of x, that is minus 5 and 3. If you want to put these values on graph, or you want to draw a graph of this function, you will see that the zeros of polynomial are the x values for which the y value is 0, right? The x value for which y value is 0 in this case is x is minus 5 and x is 3. तो इस तरफ देखो, लेफ्ट साइड में x इज इक्वल टू माइनस 5 जहाँ पे y की वैल्यू भी 0 है, एंड x इज इक्वल टू 3 ऑन द राइट साइड. यू कैन सी y वैल्यू इज 0, राइट? तो बेसिकली zeros ऑफ द पॉलिनोमियल आर दोस जहाँ पे ग्राफ में on the value of x y value is also 0 there. So we can say the roots of polynomial or the zeros of polynomial are the x intercepts. यहाँ पे x intercept minus 5 and 3 है, right? Shall we move to the next slide? Is it all clear? Okay. So here is a practice time. You need to find the number of zeros of the graphs given. There are 3 graphs given and you need to find the number of zeros. Can you see, can you tell me how many zeros would be in case of question A? Could you tell me how many x-intercepts are in case of A? If I say this is the x-axis and y-axis and you are having the graph like this, right? Can we say there are 2 x-intercepts in this case? x-intercepts are those जहाँ पे ग्राफ x-axis को मीट कर रहा है और यहाँ पर x-axis को ग्राफ दो जगह मीट कर रहा है, राइट? एक यहाँ पर और एक यहाँ पर. So the number of zeros in question A is 2, right? Number of zeros is 2. अगर हम कहें graph is like this, can you see any x-intercept in this case? Please say. जिस तरह x एक्सिस को ग्राफ यहाँ पर मीट कर रहा है, क्या यहाँ पर भी ग्राफ जो है वो x एक्सिस को मीट कर रहा है? नो, क्योंकि यहाँ पर x एक्सिस बहुत नीचे है और आपका जो ग्राफ है वो बहुत ऊपर है. यहाँ पे कोई भी इंटरसेक्शन पॉइंट नहीं है जो x एक्सिस के साथ आपके ग्राफ का हो सके, इसीलिए नंबर ऑफ जीरोस इन दिस केस वुड बी 0. ओके, इफ आई से द ग्राफ इज लाइक दिस, तो इस केस में ग्राफ जो है वो y x एक्सिस को ओनली 1 पॉइंट पे मीट कर रहा है, दिस वन, राइट? जब ग्राफ x एक्सिस को सिर्फ एक पॉइंट पे मीट कर रहा है, दैट मीन्स वी आर हैविंग ओनली 1 0 ऑफ दिस ग्राफ, राइट? क्लियर? So the number of zeros in A is 2, in B is 0 and in C is 1. Clear? Now again you need to find the zeros, factors and solve the polynomials. Okay. तो zeros निकालने हैं, उसके लिए आपको क्या करना होगा? You need to equate the polynomials to 0. Then you need to find the value of variable and the value of variables would be the zeros or you can say the factors of that polynomial equation, right? Okay, let's do it. You can note it down. I will show you the question 1 of this practice time and then you will be doing it by your own. So you can note down these questions. Okay, so the question 1 is a square plus 4a plus 1, right? Let me write here a square plus 4a plus 4. And to find the zeros of this polynomial, you need to equate it to 0. And when you equate it to 0, you can see it has become an equation. Now you need to find the zeros. On what value of a the polynomial, the equation is having its value 0. And I can observe from this that this is the formula of a plus 2 whole square. Is it? A plus 2 whole square, if you do square root to both sides of this equation, what you will get? It will be a plus 2 is equal to 0. So on value of a minus 2, the value of polynomial would be 0, and so the 0 of this polynomial is minus 2. Clear? Similarly, you need to find the zeros of all these polynomials. So please note down these questions and do try them by your own. Okay, have you noted? Well, let's move to the next slide. So let's reflect back what we learned in this chapter. What do you understand better now? So is it all clear? We started with the polynomials and we had what is polynomial, what are the terms of polynomials, right? What are the degree of polynomials? What are the roots of polynomials? What are the types of polynomials? So let's reflect back what we learned in this session. Firstly, we were introduced to the polynomials, then we did the warm-up questions, then we learned the definition of polynomial, what is a polynomial and what not is a polynomial. Then we learned about the terms of a polynomial, degree of a polynomial and types of polynomials. And the types of polynomials are monomials, binomials and trinomials. Then we learned how can we find what are the roots and how can we find the roots of polynomials, and the graphical significance of zeros of a polynomial. And then we practiced these questions. Then we have these questions which you will be doing it by your own. I hope you have noted the questions down. Okay, so this was what we had in this chapter. Now let's move to the next one, which is okay. So here we will be learning about again polynomials. So you must have the idea about this rule. Dividend divided by divisor is equal to quotient plus remainder divided by divisor, right? In this part we will be having the relationship between zeros and polynomials of polynomials and its coefficient, and cubic polynomials and the division algorithm of polynomials. Okay, so firstly we would match these. We have already matched these graphs to the algebraic expression, and I already told you how can you find the correct answer for this. So for the first one, you can assign values to the x and you will find that you can give negative values to this expression 1 by x. So you will have some negative part of it. So the number 2 graph is actually the graph of 1 by x, and the number 1 graph is actually the graph of root x. Alright. Now here are the warm-up questions. You need to find the zeros of these polynomials. First one is x squared plus 2x minus 120. कैसे solve करेंगे आप? You will use the factorization method, and you will you can do the assign the values of x that makes the expression equals to 0. So it's totally upon your choice. You can use whatever method you want. Okay, let's do the question 1 together. X squared plus 2x minus 120. कैसे सॉल्व करेंगे इसको? लेट मी गिव यू अ ब्रीफ आइडिया which I do follow. So here we can see that the last term, which is a constant term, is minus 120, right? And since there is a minus given, we will use subtraction to find the 2x. So you can factorize this minus 120. If you divide it by 2, you will get 60, again 2, then it is 30, again 2, then it's 15. If it is by 3, then it's 5. Okay. So these are the factors of 120. Now you will use subtraction operation to find 2 out of these from these factors. Okay. What you can do, you will use these factors and these factors, right? 3 times 2 is 6 and 6 times 2 is 12. Now 5 times 2 is 10 and 12 minus 10 is 2, right? So you will similarly write here x square plus x times 12 minus 10 minus 120, and it is equal to 0, right? X square plus 12x minus 10x minus 120 equals to 0. Okay. Now you can find common. X is common, so it would be x plus 6, x plus 12 minus 10 is common. Again it is x plus 12. Clear? Equals to 0. So it would become x minus 10 and x plus 12 equals to 0, right? So values of x when the polynomial would become 0 is x is equal to 10 and minus 12, right? And these are the zeros of polynomial x square plus 2x minus 120. I did the question 1 for you. Now please note the questions and do it by your own. And let's move to the next slide. Here is the linear relationship between zeros and the coefficient of a polynomial. The general form of a linear polynomial is px is equal to ax plus b. Its zero is minus b by a. अगर इस पॉलिनोमियल को जो ax प्लस b है, इस पॉलिनोमियल को अगर हम ज़ीरो से इक्वेट करते हैं तो x की वैल्यू, जहाँ पर ये पॉलिनोमियल की वैल्यू एक्चुअल में ज़ीरो होगी तो x की वैल्यू होगी माइनस b बाई ए, राइट? द नेगेटिव ऑफ द कांस्टेंट टर्म डिवाइडेड बाय कोफिशिएंट ऑफ x. तो ये एक रूल है, अगर इसको हम इक्वेट करते हैं ज़ीरो से तो उसकी वैल्यू आएगी माइनस बी बाई ए, जहाँ पर माइनस बी जो है वो नेगेटिव ऑफ कांस्टेंट टर्म है. बी हमारी इस पॉलिनोमियल की कांस्टेंट टर्म है और ए जो है वो एक्स का कोफिशिएंट है, राइट? सो इट वुड बी माइनस बी बाई ए विच इज द नेगेटिव ऑफ कांस्टेंट टर्म डिवाइडेड बाई कोफिशिएंट ऑफ वेरिएबल विच इज कोफिशिएंट ऑफ एक्स, राइट? And if you say alpha is the zero of this linear polynomial, then the value of alpha is minus b by a, right? Clear? Now, if that was our linear equation. If you have a quadratic equation की highest power जो degree है वो 2 है. अगर degree 2 है, that means it will be having 2 zeros. Okay? क्यूबिक इक्वेशन की क्यूबिक इक्वेशन की जो डिग्री है, हाईएस्ट पावर ऑफ x है वो 3 है. दैट मीन्स इट विल बी हैविंग 3 zeros, राइट? So if you say that alpha and beta are the zeros of polynomial, quadratic polynomial ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, तो यहाँ पर हमारे पास कुछ रूल्स हैं, कुछ फॉर्मूलाज हैं, जो कि sum of the roots is equal to minus b by a and product of the roots would be c by a. Negative of coefficient of x divided by coefficient of x square, और जो प्रोडक्ट ऑफ द रूट्स होगा वो होगा नेगेटिव कांस्टेंट टर्म डिवाइडेड बाय कोफिशिएंट ऑफ एक्स स्क्वायर. सिमिलरली फॉर्मूलाज हमारे पास क्यूबिक इक्वेशन के लिए भी है. अल्फा, बीटा एंड गामा, इफ दे आर द रूट्स ऑफ क्यूबिक इक्वेशन, देन सम ऑफ द रूट्स वुड बी माइनस बी बाई ए, product of the roots would be minus d by a, negative of constant term divided by coefficient of x cube, and sum of the product of the roots taken 2 at a time would be c by a. C is the coefficient of x and a is the coefficient of x cube. These are the formulas. We will keep remember them. And again there is a biquadratic equation. The biquadratic equation is the equation where the degree of equation is 4. That means the highest power of x is 4, and since the degree of equation is 4, we will be having 4 roots for this equation, and similarly we will be having the rules, formulas for with the coefficient and the terms, the roots of the equation. So the sum of the roots would be minus b by a, sum of the product of the roots taken 2 at a time would be c by a, sum of the product of the root taken 3 at a time is minus d by a, and product of the root is e by a. E is the constant term and a is the coefficient of x to the power 4. Clear? Let's move to the next slide. Now you need to find a quadratic polynomial if the sum and product of the zeros are minus 5 and 6 respectively. Clear? So अगर आपके पास इस तरह के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं जहाँ पर आपको सम ऑफ द रूट एंड प्रोडक्ट ऑफ द रूट दे रखा है एंड यू नीड टू फाइंड द पॉलिनोमियल, तो आप क्या करेंगे? वी हैव दिस एग्जाम्पल हियर. Let the quadratic formula be ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. We will assume a quadratic equation in the form of a, b and c. Ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, and we will suppose that the zeros of equation are alpha and beta. Clear? Now we have the sum and product of the roots. So sum of the roots, that is alpha plus beta, would be minus 5, and product of the root alpha into beta is 6, right? And we have again the formula that alpha plus beta is minus b by a, since minus b by a is equal to minus 5 and alpha beta is equal to c, which is alpha beta is equal to 6, which is c by a. So we will simply solve these and find the values of alpha, find the values of minus b by a and c by a. So we will have the quadratic equation as x square minus sum of the roots time x plus product of the roots. This is the relation, this is the formula where whenever a quadratic equation is there, the equation would be in the form x square minus sum of the roots time x plus product of the roots is equal to 0. In this case, the product of the root is 6 and the sum of the root is minus 5. So we will simply put these in this equation. So it would be x square minus 5x plus 6, and minus 5x would be plus 5. So the equation will become x square plus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. Clear? And similarly we will be dealing with cubic equation also, cubic polynomial. In this question it is given that you need to verify that whether 3, minus 1 and 1 by 3 are the zeros of the given polynomial or not. So in this case what you will be doing, you will simply put these values 3, minus 1 and 1 by x in the polynomial. if the value of polynomial would become 0, then these are the zeros of equation polynomial, and if it does not satisfy, that means these are not the zeros of the cubic polynomial. And it is done here also. P of 3, wherever the variable x is there, we will assign value 3 to that, and we will put the value 3 to that variable, and it will become P3 would be equal to 0 at value 3, Px would be 0 at value -1, and P3 would be 0 at value 1 by 3 also. So these are the zeros of polynomial. If it does not satisfy, that means if it does not give the value 0 to these values, then we can say then it would be these are not the zeros of the polynomial. In this case, these are the zeros of polynomial. So these are giving the value 0, right? Let's move to the next slide. In this case, we are having division algorithm for polynomials. Division of monomial by monomial. Divide the numeral and each like literal in the numerator by those in the denominator separately. Divide 18a square b by 6ab. Solution. Divide 18 by 6. Simply we can divide 18 by 6. Then divide the common factors of literal terms from both the numerator and denominator. So a square b divided by ab. It would be a, and one a is cancelled by another a, b is cancelled by b, so it would be left with a. Since 18 divided by 6 would be 3, so the answer is 3a. Clear? And this is the division algorithm for monomials, when division of monomial is done by monomial itself. Next is division of a polynomial by a binomial. If they are given a polynomial and you need to divide it by a binomial. Binomial means where the number of terms are 2, right? So we have certain step to do this. What is the first step? Arrange the divisor and dividend in decreasing order of powers of variable. You can see here the polynomial is arranged in the decreasing order of powers of the variable, x cube, then x square, then x, then the constant term. Step 2 is divide the first term of the dividend, which is 12x cube, by the first term of the divisor, which is 4x, to get the first term of quotient. 12x cube divided by 4x is equal to 3x square, and hence we got the first term of the quotient, right? Next, step 3 is proceed as with long division of whole number. जैसे हम whole number के लिए divide करते हैं, उसी तरह से उसी process से हम यहाँ पर polynomial को binomial से divide करेंगे, right? 4x plus 1 if it is multiplied by 3x square, it will be 4x times 3x square would be 12x cube. Now 4x times 1 is 4x. Then 1 times 3x square is 3x square, and 1 times 1 is 1. Now we will subtract it. जैसे हम division के लिए करते हैं, subtract किया तो हमने देखा यहाँ पे 0 रिमाइंडर है, that means ये divisible है. यहाँ पर हमारा divisor जो है 4x plus 1 है, dividend जो है वो 12x cube plus 3x square plus 4x plus 1 है. जब हमने divide किया तो हमने देखा quotient is equal to 3x square plus 1, and we have no remainder, 0 remainder. Clear? So whatever the process is for the division of a whole number, we will follow that only. Next, there are few questions here for your practice. So kindly note these questions down and do practice them by your own. We will discuss them if needed in our next session. Okay. Again, here are some practice questions. So I am giving you 1 minute. Kindly note it down. The first question is, you need to find a quadratic polynomial where sum and product of the roots are given. Next one is you need to find the zeros of polynomial and verify the relation between zeros and coefficient, which we have already learned in today's session. And then you need to find the sum and product of the given polynomial. And you are very well known about these formulas. What is the formula for the product of the roots and for the sum of the roots, right? I hope you have noted these questions. And the next questions are, you are given with the 0 of a cubic polynomial, you need to find the other two 0. For this, what you will be doing, sorry, you will first you will have a value of x which is equal to root 2, and you will divide the polynomial 6x cube plus root 2 x square minus tan x plus 4 root 2 by x minus 0, because x is equal to root 2. If you you want to have that equation, then it would be x minus root 2, and x minus root 2 is a factor of this cubic polynomial. When you divide this cubic polynomial by x minus root 2, you will be having a quotient, and when you factorize that quotient, you will be getting the values of x where the polynomial would become 0. Clear? Next question is, x minus root 5 is a factor of cubic polynomial this. Find the other two zeros of polynomial. Similarly, just now I have explained you how can you proceed for the question 1. Similarly, you can proceed for question 2 as well. Next question is, determine whether the given values of x are zeros of polynomial or not. So, a polynomial is given and two values are given. You need to verify whether they are the zeros of polynomial or not. So what you can do, simply you can put these values in the polynomial, equate it to 0. If it is being satisfied, then it is the 0 of polynomial, otherwise not. Clear? I hope you have noted these questions also, and I hope you will be doing it by your own. So what made you proud in this session? Let's have a quick reflection what we learned in this session as well. So we first started the chapter polynomial and its zeros and relation between coefficient. You are very well known about this relation. So here is what we learned. We had one warm-up question where we matched the graphs with the algebraic expression respectively. Then we found the zeros of polynomials in these questions. Then we learnt about the linear relationship between zeros and coefficient of a polynomial. Then the relationship between that in case of quadratic, cubic and biquadratic equation. And you got the idea of the relationship between roots and the terms and the coefficient of terms, right? After that, you did these questions which were given with like an example, and then we had the division algorithm of polynomials. We learnt about the division algorithm, the steps to be followed while dividing a polynomial by binomial. Clear? And then we have these practice questions which are the homework for you. I hope you enjoyed the session today and it is all clear whatever we learned in today's session. So this is all about today's session. I would like to tell you again about the Just Tutor platform. आप जस्ट ट्यूटर की वेबसाइट पे लॉगिन कर सकते हैं, justtutor.com। जो पहली वेबसाइट्स है, आप पहली वेबसाइट पे क्लिक करिए। यहाँ पर आपको फ्री स्टडी मटेरियल मिलेगा, डिफरेंट क्लासेस के लिए पैकेजेस मिलेंगे, आप अपनी नॉलेज को ग्रैस्प कर सकते हैं, टेस्ट कर सकते हैं, वर्कशीट्स अवेलेबल है और हमारे कोर्सेस अवेलेबल है, राइट? सो बी हैप्पी, enjoy your learning with Just Tutors, and if you think that these lessons are useful for you, please share them with your friends and your knowns, whoever need this. Okay, so this is all about today's session. We will continue from this in our next lecture. Till then, you take care and have a very good day. Bye bye.